Let me tell you something that might feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little shocking. You were programmed to be poor, not by accident, not because something went wrong, but because from the very beginning, you absorbed a certain way of thinking, a certain way of feeling, a certain way of reacting to money. And the most important part, you didn't even notice it happening. When you were a child, you weren't analyzing, you weren't questioning. You were simply observing, listening, feeling, and recording everything as truth. The way your parents talked about money, the way they reacted when there wasn't enough, the tension, the stress, the ograniczenia, the fear, all of that didn't just stay around you. It became part of you. Joseph Murphy explained that the subconscious mind accepts everything without criticism in early years, and whatever enters at that stage becomes your baseline, your normal. So if you grew up seeing that money is hard, that it's always lacking, that it creates problems, that people struggle for it, then for you, this became reality, not consciously, but deeply. And this is where the internal restriction begins. It doesn't sound like a voice saying, you can't have money. It shows up differently. You want more, but you hesitate. You get opportunities, but you don't fully take them. You move forward, but something pulls you back at the last moment. And every time, it feels like coincidence. But it's not coincidence. It's precision. It's a program running exactly as it was installed. Neville Goddard spoke about states, about the fact that you always act from who you are being. And if your internal state includes the idea, this is not for me, you will return to the same financial level again and again, even if things change on the surface. And the most difficult part, this program feels like you. It doesn't feel chajim. It feels logical, reasonable, even responsible. You might think, I need more time. I'm not ready yet. This is too risky. I should be careful. And it all sounds smart. But if you look deeper, it's not logic. It's protection. Protection from stepping outside what feels familiar. Because somewhere inside, money is associated with something uncomfortable, something unsafe. And as long as that association exists, you will keep stopping yourself. Very subtly, very quietly, but consistently. There's also another layer. Sometimes the restriction is not even about money itself. It's about what comes with it. Freedom, responsibility, change, leaving your current environment. Sometimes you're not afraid of money. You're afraid of becoming someone different. Because money changes identity, and your subconscious always tries to keep your identity stable, even if that identity limits you. So what's really happening is not that you're failing with money. You're maintaining who you currently believe yourself to be. And until that shifts, money cannot stay in your life. You might earn it, receive it, attract it for a moment. But if the internal program says, this is not safe, you will return back, through expenses, through mistakes, through situations that bring you down again. Not as punishment, but as alignment. Reality always brings you back to what feels allowed for you. And this is where real change begins. Not by forcing new thoughts, not by repeating affirmations, but by finding the source of the program, by seeing where you picked it up. Try to remember. What did you hear about money growing up? What emotions were present in your environment? Was there tension, fear, conflict? And most importantly, what did you feel? Because it's not the words that matter. It's the feeling that got recorded. If money felt stressful, overwhelming, negative, your subconscious made a simple conclusion. Better stay away from that. And now, every time you get closer to money, your system tries to protect you, not because you can't have it, but because it doesn't feel safe yet. And until that changes, you will keep holding yourself back. Here's the most important thing to understand. This program is not you. It's something you learned. And anything learned can be seen. And once you see it, it starts losing control over you. That's the first step. Not to fix it immediately, but to become aware. Because as long as you don't see it, you are inside it. The moment you start noticing, when you hesitate, when you step back, when you doubt, you create distance. And in that distance, you gain choice. Not instantly, not perfectly, but gradually, you start responding differently. Not because you force yourself, but because you understand what's happening. And over time, something shifts. What used to feel scary becomes neutral. What used to stop you no longer has the same power. And that's how the restriction dissolves. Not through struggle, but through awareness. And when that happens, money stops being something forbidden. It becomes something allowed. And when it's allowed, it stays. If this resonates with you, write in the comments if you've ever felt like you're stopping yourself, even when things are going well. Hit the like button so more people can see this, especially those who still think it's just about working harder. And subscribe, because we're going even deeper in the next videos, into the level where reality itself is created. And remember, the most important thing, you are not limited by money. You are only limited by what you once accepted as truth. And the moment you change that, everything changes, because anything is possible.